Well, hey everybody, it's Kevbo Jones here with the final episode of the Wonderful World of Baseball Cards for 2019. 2019 has been an amazing year. I started creating content on YouTube. I rekindled my love of baseball card collecting and sports card collecting in general. But I've always really been a baseball guy, particularly vintage baseball. And I wanted to just do my top 10 pickups for the year. These aren't necessarily monetarily my top 10 pickups. These are just 10 of my favorite cards that I grabbed over the last 8 months. So this is my top 10 recap for 2019. Coming in at number 10 is a 2010 Topps Ken Griffey Jr. This is from my main project of the year, which has been the last card of all the post-war Hall of Famers. I got the list from Baseball Collector Mike back in April, and I had just absolutely been loving this project. I actually stumbled into his video, and it was just absolutely wonderful. It's been an absolutely fun project. Love it so much. This is just a classic junior card, back with the Mariners, back where he belongs, a nice design. He's in his big swing, might have just hit one out, so just a great card coming in at number 10 in 2010 Topps Ken Griffey Jr. Coming in at number 9 is 1970 Kellogg's Richie Allen. I love these Kellogg's cards. I always have. I just think they look absolutely fantastic. They're really the only alternative to Topps in the 70s. They made super nice cards. A lot of these can be found readily available. And I think the 1970 set is just a really good launch for Kellogg's. Rich Allen's kind of a forgotten player. But one of my favorites and has been since I was a kid. And so I thought that this was a good kind of representative sample of some of the Kellogg's cards that I've picked up that you saw in an earlier video this year. And something that I intend to pick up random Kellogg's cards here and there as the years go on. But a great set, a great card of a great player. 1970 Kellogg's Rich Allen. Now, number 8, there's two cards. There's 8A and 8-1. This is a 1986 Topps Vince Coleman. This was actually the first PSA card that I ever picked up. And I'll tell you why. Vince Coleman was my favorite player in the 1980s. And I just loved his speed and I loved the guys who stole bases in the 80s. And as an 11-year-old kid, I opened up so many packs of 1986 Topps and never pulled a Vince Coleman. So when I got back into collecting, this was one of the first cards that I had to seek out. He's long since forgotten now, kind of a footnote and an afterthought. But from 1985 probably through about 1988, he was one of the most exciting players in baseball and still has a ton of stolen bases and is probably in the top 10, if not top 5 all time for stolen bases. And then these 1986 Topps just take me back as they were a big part of my childhood, kind of the beginning of the quote-unquote junk wax era that I think we're all starting to realize as we're getting longer in the tooth is not so junk after all, and that there's some amazing cards, amazing sets, and amazing players. And these 1986 Topps cards are beautiful when cleaned up. So there's 8A, and then 8-1 was my second PSA card that I ever picked up, which is a beauty of another one of my favorite players. This is another 1986 Topps card. This is Fernando Valenzuela. One that I immediately just kind of started looking for as I got back into collecting, as I was a big fan of Fernando as well when I was a kid. And I really think Fernando should make the Hall of Fame. If nothing more than his cultural impact. his clutch performance in the 1981 World Series and the 1981 season in general. He threw a no-hitter, and you just look at his run. I mean, the Dodgers, he threw so many innings. Look at all the innings he threw. Look at that dominant stretch from 1981 through 1985. This was kind of the tail end of Fernando's dominance. I think 86 was his last truly dominant year. But this is just, to me, an amazing card. And again, the 1986 Topps, while looked at by many as an afterthought, is an absolutely phenomenal set. Coming in at number 7, this was a favorite card of mine when it came out. I had seen a news story on it about the George Bush and Mickey Mantle Derek Jeter card in 2007 Topps. So I went out and ran out and bought a blaster box at Walmart immediately after seeing the news story. And I got a gold version of this, and then I got the base card. I sold them both on eBay within like 2 days of pulling them. I kind of wish I still had the gold one. But this is just a great card. I think it's a bit under the radar, a bit forgotten about. This was a big deal with George Bush and Mickey Mantle. Now, George Bush, of course, was not very popular at the time. But this is a great card. I mean, with the black borders, Jeter was still kind of in his prime here, maybe getting closer to 3,000 hits. Just a fantastic card of Derek Jeter. This was another one that I looked for almost instantly as I started collecting. And I think that this is, again, a very undervalued card. And I expect to see this card have a little bit of buzz this summer when he gets into the Hall of Fame. Number 6. This was the first card that I picked up in my post-war Hall of Fame set. This is a 1956 Topps Monte Irvin. Just a stellar card. Seeing a vintage card in a PSA, a slab, for the first time was quite a revelation to me. At how nice that they clean up, and how beautiful some of these old cards can look when they were well cared for. So again, this was the very first card that I picked up on my Hall of Famer post-war last card checklist. Monte Irvin always had a good card. This one made it in as it was the first card that I picked up from that set, and I absolutely love it. Coming into the top 5 now. Here's a 1987 Topps Bo Jackson, a Future Stars card. I mean, Bo Jackson is just... I rediscovered my love of Bo Jackson in 2019. Aside from Michael Jordan, I think he was probably the most iconic athlete of the 80s. It's a shame that his career ended on kind of a freak injury. But nobody was more exciting or more dominant than Bo Jackson from 1987 through 1990. Just an amazing 4-year run, both with the Raiders and with the Royals. Just an unbelievably exciting player. This one just kind of, again, takes me back to my childhood, which is why I sought this one out more so than the 86 Topps traded. I just love this Bo Jackson Future Stars card. Just absolutely one of my favorites. Getting into the top 4 here. Another one from the last card Hall of Fame set. Here's a 1971 Topps Ernie Banks. I don't know how you get much nicer on a 1971 Topps card than this. This is a stunner. I had never had this card before until I picked this up in a PSA format, and I absolutely just love this one. And these rich olive tones on the back. I had never seen a 1971 with that much beautiful color on the back, that deep, deep green. Most of the ones that I saw that I had as a kid seemed a little more faded on the back, but this is just a stunner. Again, you can see that Last Card Hall of Fame set has been a big part of my collection, but this Ernie Banks came to me in like May or June, and it's just absolutely beautiful. I love this card, and it's probably, I would say, one of the tentpole cards of my Last Card Hall of Fame set thus far. Moving into the top three here. Got a 1973 Topps Roberto Clemente, again part of my Last Card Hall of Fame set. This one's a beauty. I looked for a long time for one of these Clementes, and they usually had some kind of major centering issue, print defect, whatever it might be. This one's not perfect by any means, but on the front it's a beautiful card. The back's a little, off-centered, but this one is just a beautiful card. Again, probably one of the tentpole flagship cards of my Last Card Hall of Fame set thus far. Beautiful 1973 Topps Roberto Clemente. I would consider this probably one of my Desert Island cards. I love this one so much, and just a great card coming in at number 3 for my pickups for the year. Number 2, this is the most recent one, and you might have seen this one if you stayed to watch the entire video. I picked this one up just before Thanksgiving. This was a card that was not on my radar at all. And I was watching a YouTube video from one of our fellow content creators and picked this up in a private sale. Absolutely amazing. 1955 Topps Hank Aaron. It's a 3.5, but it really is just a beautiful card, and it's perfect for me. Again, I had no intention of buying this card. It wasn't on my radar at all, but it's just a stunner, and I was really happy to pick this up. And like I said in the previous video, which was actually just a few videos ago, the transaction couldn't have gone any smoother or been more seamless or been more professional. So a shout out to Filmington for selling me his 1955 Topps Hank Aaron. And then the number 1 card of the year, and I think probably the number 1 card in my collection and my favorite card in my collection, it's not a PSA but it's an SGC, is this 1888 Little Roadie Cut Plug N557 American National Sports. I got this card from a guy that I met on Twitter, Pre-War Cards, Anson Whaley. He had this card on his website, on his banner, and I just asked him, what that card was, because I just loved this image so much. And he told me what it was. I sent him a message on Twitter. I said, hey, what is that? And he told me what it was. And so I sent him another message. I said, you don't happen to, know where I can get one of those, do you? And he told me that he had an extra, and that he had never thought about selling it, and that these don't pop up very often. But he would be happy to sell me his extra copy. It isn't authentic. It's got a little corner ding down there. But I don't think these pop up very often. This is probably my favorite card that I've ever owned in terms of baseball cards. It's certainly the oldest. The back is fantastic. And I just, if I could keep one card and have to get rid of all the rest, this would be the card that I would keep. There's just absolutely something about it. The American flag, the girl playing baseball, just an absolutely just gorgeous, gorgeous card. And again, I'm not sure anything can ever top this, even going forward, picking stuff up. This is a totally unique card. He told me in all his years of collecting pre-war cards that he's only come across 2 of these. And he's never seen any more than that. and I am just I just love having this card. It's the absolute favorite in my collection. So there's my recap, top 10 of 2019. I'm really excited to see what 2020 brings. I'm wishing everybody out there a happy new year. This is Kevo Jones, Wonderful World of Baseball Cards, signing out. Peace.